Welcome back to Cox Connections. The Fairfax County Chamber of Commerce has been the leading voice for the business community in Northern Virginia. Now celebrating its 90th anniversary, the Chamber continues to connect the business community on key issues for our region. We're honored to have Jim Corcoran, President and CEO of the Fairfax County Chamber of Commerce, join us today. Jim, welcome.
Thank you, Catherine. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon.
Thank you. So tell us about the Fairfax County Chamber of Commerce.
Well, I am fortunate to be with the Fairfax County Chamber of Commerce. It's really the leading chamber of commerce in Northern Virginia. And the Fairfax County Chamber really has a lot to do with advocating on behalf of business for major critical infrastructure issues up here in Northern Virginia. And I think all constituents benefit from a lot of what the Fairfax County Chamber does.
The Chamber is a really active organization. Do you serve just one segment of business or all segments of business?
We are so fortunate. We have so many businesses here in Fairfax County. I think at last count it was over 40,000. And we serve from the individual entrepreneur startup company to the Fortune 500. And we are very fortunate to have all of those here in Fairfax County, and they are all members of the Chamber. In fact, with the Chamber now, we have almost 700 corporate members. So a company is a member as compared to an individual, and that is growing. We have significant growth this year, and really, I think it reflects on how the economy is improving here in Northern Virginia and the region.
And you have verticals, really, of areas that you focus on based on the interests of the businesses in our area, right?
Yes, and you know, if I was a Chamber of Commerce executive in Ocean City, Maryland, I'd probably be focused on tourism. But here in Fairfax County, we focus on the government contracting industry, the entrepreneurship community. Certainly we have an economic council that looks at the overall economy. We have a women's business council. We have our Nova Forward Council, which looks at public policy issues that impact us here. But we also look at the hospitality industry and other segments of the overall economy that are important to the growth of our local economy.
And you're also reaching out to young people through the Next Gen Council.
Right. This year, we actually had a lot of firsts this year. And the Next Gen Council was a new council where it is the next generation of business leaders. And as we all talk about, the younger professionals today are looking for different things than what I may have when I was a young professional. And it's great to connect the young professionals with those like myself who might be a little grayer or a little bit more seasoned.
Experienced, I'd say, yeah. And I don't want to forget also your Veterans Initiative.
Correct. And so the Veterans Initiative is brand new, and we're literally just standing it up. As a matter of fact, just this week, we had Colonel Mitchell from Fort Belvoir over, and one of the things that we do help with is the transition from active duty into working with the private sector. And that's one of, with the drawdown that's taking place with our United States military today, it's one of the greatest things that we can do on behalf of those serving. But it also benefits the business community because the disciplines that military veterans bring to the business community are huge when it comes to running an organization.
Great. Let's talk about the business climate in Northern Virginia now. How would you assess that?
I think it's improving. When you look at Northern Virginia and the entire Washington region, certainly when you look to what took place with sequestration back in 2011 through 2013, there was a lot of dollars taken out of the regional economy. The federal spending just wasn't there. Virginia receives more dollars of federal spending against federal procurement spending than any other state in the nation. So when you had the cutbacks that we did with the federal government, there is a direct line to the Virginia economy, and in particular to the Northern Virginia economy. So that stalled our economy, but our economy never shrank. It actually stayed relatively stable over the last 2 to 3 years, but now we're starting to see growth again. And what has happened, and this is what needed to happen here, is the economy has diversified. You have new industry segments coming in. Cybersecurity, everybody think, oh, federal government. But when you look at what happens with Target and Home Depot, cybersecurity is critical to the private sector as well. And a lot of our businesses here in Northern Virginia are leaders in that sector and working with the private sector. I think the announcements that are going on with the Nova Hospital and their new cancer center down the street, wow, that will be a game changer for the local economy. But I think really what is growing our economy right now are the number of entrepreneurial organizations that are starting and growing here in Northern Virginia and the greater Washington region.
That's great, and you can't underestimate the impact of the Metro line coming through.
No, the Silver Line is about to celebrate its 1-year anniversary coming up. I believe it is July 28th, if I remember correctly. That is the 1-year anniversary, and that has been a game changer for our local economy. But really beyond our economy, it's a game changer for the people who live here in Fairfax County and soon to be in Loudoun County. It really gives you a whole other option. It's taking cars off the road, but more importantly, it's been an economic development opportunity also. When you see the development that's taking place from the, I'm going to call it the Tyson's Corner, out through Reston and onto the Dulles Airport right now, can you even count the number of cranes with the buildings that are going up? So you're seeing the growth now, but I think you're going to see even more of it in the coming 5 years.
And with that, what are the issues that are most important to the region right now and the business community?
I don't think those change drastically. Here, we've been extremely fortunate when you look at the major transportation projects that have been completed here in the last 3 years. The opening of the hot lanes around 495, the opening of the hot lanes going down 95, and the opening of the Silver Line. No other region in the country has had that kind of infrastructure completed in the last 3 years, coming out of the 2007 to 2010 economic slowdown. So when you look at that, we have a lot to grow on. Here we sit just this week, the governor and the Secretary of Transportation for Virginia announced that a study had been done that looked at expanding the hot lanes on Route 495 across the American Legion Bridge and up to Route 270. That is something that will get our entire region moving. We have to look at that. On the other hand, we also have Route 66. And Route 66, those two areas are the largest continuous bottlenecks in Northern Virginia. We need to continue to help the region move because we have to move people, we have to move goods, and move everything across the region to fully maximize the potential of our local economy.
And how about regionalism? Is it important that Fairfax County work with the region around us, with Maryland and DC?
Well, you know, it's interesting. The Fairfax Chamber just completed a strategic plan, and we take the role of a leader in our regional economic efforts very seriously. But we cannot do it alone. We'll work with the Greater Washington Board of Trade, the Montgomery County Chamber, other chambers in Fairfax County or Prince George's, Maryland. But somebody has to take the lead. Somebody has to be the collaborator that brings everyone together. And I don't think as a region, and this is not just chambers of commerce, but I think it's our local governments also, we have not always been the best at working together. When you look at a project that is good for Maryland, that's really good for Virginia also. When we look at, and I always like to use the Purple Line as an example, that's great news for Maryland that they're going to have new mass transportation systems. But why don't we keep going into Tyson's Corner and really connect the suburbs, because the lines are artificial. People cross these lines every day. So we really have to get the region moving to do that, and we have to partner with other organizations in order to do it. And I can sit here and tell you that the Fairfax County Chamber of Commerce is committed 100% to working as a regional leader to bring the various parties together to benefit all the constituents of the metropolitan area.
We'll take a quick break and be right back with more Cox Connections and the Fairfax Chamber.